guys, what's going on? This is Travis P11. I want to welcome you back to the channel. Today I'm doing probably one of the easiest disassemblies that's out there, yet it's something that sometimes shooters don't consider doing when they first buy a firearm, and also can be one of those things that might seem maybe just a little tiny bit intimidating for somebody who's disassembling this particular part for the first time. I just want to show you it's actually a very easy procedure. What I'm talking about here is disassembling the magazine for just a simple tear down and cleaning and then a reassembly. Now, every pistol kind of has its own, design, right? But they'll have their own different style of like assembly. And sometimes, what I'm going to show you here, this may not apply to your particular pistol. There might be certain things you need to do. You might maybe have to buy a particular tool to get your magazine to disassemble and come apart. What we're looking at here are the magazines for the SCCY CPX-2, and I believe CPX-1 uses the exact same magazines. A little bit about the history between these two magazines. My SCCY CPX-2 was having problems with a magazine that I had never used before. I had a brand new mag. I took it to the range in one of my range videos, and it was nosediving rounds. And I called up it was pushing the rounds into the feed ramp, in case you guys don't know what that term is. And I called the company up, and they said, hey, well, did you take it apart and clean it? I said, yeah. And they said, did you reassemble it properly? I said, yeah. And they said, did you mess with the feed lips? And I said, no, I don't want to modify the gun that might make it unsafe or more unstable or whatever. So they said, okay, don't worry about it. So they went ahead and sent me these two magazines. Now, these are supposedly factory brand new magazines. They sent me 2 replacements, actually, even though I only sent them 1. I got 2 in the mail, which is great. There's a little bit of wear on the finish here, and I'm hoping it's because of how they throw these in bins, or maybe that it was test fired at the factory, and we'll know once we take it apart just how dirty it's going to be. So to do a magazine disassembly for a pistol, it's actually very simple. All that you need is just a center punch. I like to use a pistol cleaning rod, really kind of get in there and scrub it out a little bit with just some cut up t-shirt. You can use gun patches if you want to, but I like to use something a little bit thicker since you can really get in there, and so on. We're going to do an initial cleaning with some CLP, and then just kind of a finishing cleaning, a protective coat with some rem oil. And then I'm going to take these to the range and just see how they perform. And I'm hoping that it's not an issue with like the extractor on my firearm or whatever. I don't know. It was just odd that my SCCY was doing that after 400 plus rounds, and I cleaned that thing after every range trip. But again, the other magazine that I had with me did not have that problem, and I was just shooting brand new brass ammo. I wasn't shooting steel case. I wasn't shooting aluminum case, and it just, I don't know what the problem is. Just, I hate when that happens, because that's a carry weapon. And I do highly recommend that you disassemble your magazines and clean them, as long as the owner's manual says you should do that, right? Because sometimes they use some heavy grease on the springs that they assemble these with, just kind of as a preservative, so that the springs don't rust out, and the internals and so on. So, do consider taking your mags apart once in a while and cleaning them. Especially when you first get the weapon. That'll help ensure that it feeds more reliably, just in my opinion. Sometimes you have coatings inside magazines that have a natural lubricity to them, and you don't really have to worry about doing much for cleaning the insides of the mags, aside from just maybe a light coat of gun oil. So, all right, without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. We're just going to do a single magazine clean today. We're not going to do both of them. I'm going to do both of them, just one of them off camera. I'm going to save you guys some time. So we'll go ahead and get started here. So let's get this one out of the way. So first thing you want to do is make sure you've got a center punch or some kind of a cylinder-shaped, kind of blunt object that you can use to push in on it. Now, on some firearms, these springs can be very, very tight. They're going to be under pressure, so you want to hold on to them so you don't launch the spring in your butt plate, or whatever you want to call it, your base plate, just all the way across the room. These are very lightweight springs. It's very simple to do, but I've had some guns where you really have to like push down there and be really careful when you reassemble it. So all we have to do is just push down on this little hole here with the center punch. Okay, just kind of slide back a little bit. It's going to keep our fingers across it. Now, the CPX-2 comes with a flat butt plate for the, or bottom plate, whatever you want to call it, finger rest for the magazine, and then it has an extended finger rest which allows you to rest your pinky on it, and you can actually replace them when you get the gun. Okay, so when you take it apart, this is basically what you're looking at. Again, this is just for basics, guys. This is just something simple for people maybe that have never disassembled their mag before. Sometimes this plate will slide in and stay under the lips on the sides. Other times it's just going to pop right out, and that's pretty much the case here. So we're just going to slowly go ahead and disassemble. Every time you do this is different. Just kind of get your spring out of there. Okay, go ahead and push on the top, and you've got your follower, I guess you could call it, where your ammunition is going to load. Your rounds are going to load. Just kind of push in from the top a little bit. Sometimes this will just fall right out. Other times it needs a little bit of assistance. Okay. And again, this is kind of interesting because this is going to show you what you're going to find when you look inside your CPX-2. And again, you want to make sure that you obviously reassemble it the exact same way that you put it back together. So very simple procedure, not too tough. I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and, you can take the follower off if you want to, or you can just leave it. I'm just going to go ahead and leave it. It's only going to fit one way, really, when you reassemble it. As long as you leave this part on, you don't have to worry about reversing this and messing up your spring. And, on some guns that could cause issues, and on others it may not, because this is designed to compress in a certain direction and provide a certain amount of torsion, or I guess you could say force, okay, pushing back on it. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. I think we'll just do a little CLP initially on the spring. This stuff's kind of messy. It's just kind of a foam. You just kind of wipe that on the spring. Okay, get that on there. And there may be a lot of stuff that comes off. There may not. It might be no big deal, really. Okay, I was kind of hoping for maybe some residue so I could check and see if this magazine's ever been used before. Okay, let's go ahead and just give that a general little wipe down. Again, you don't want this greasy because if you have, a lot of grease or I'm sorry, if you have a lot of oil or lube on these springs, you do risk having them collect a lot of dust and particles, especially if you shoot in a sandy environment. Sometimes that can be an issue. So again, just a nice little cleaning. This is just kind of general, I guess you could say tarnishing or mild oxidation that's coming off on it. It's really not that big of a deal. So okay, it looks pretty good for the most part. Okay, we're just going to go ahead and just set that off to the side. And now for the inside of the mag, spray a little CLP down here. This stuff kind of foams up at an angle, so you have to be kind of careful how you do it. Okay, and let's go ahead and just take a dry patch and just get in there and just kind of scrub stuff out. Now, I've had magazines that were just absolutely filthy from the factory. I'm not ripping on the companies, but I've noticed that Taurus guns tend to come packed with a lot more grease or heavy oil, preservative oil than other companies do. I don't know if it's just them or what, but so if you take it out, you can see, look at that. That's how much crap came out. And that could just be, anodizing residue or powder coating residue, depending on what kind of finish you have, or bluing residue. It's not a big deal, but I don't know. I guess I like my guns to be nice and clean because it's going to hopefully help ensure better functionality. Again, that's just my opinion. Go ahead and give the magazine just a little wipe down. Okay, really no big deal. Okay, so I'm looking inside. It's not bad. It looks nice and clean. There's really no crud in there. There isn't too much going on. Now what I'm going to do is go and hit the inside of the mag with just a clean patch. And these patches come from t-shirts that I kind of keep around as towels that I kind of wipe my hands on. So there's a few little spots and stuff on them, but it doesn't affect them at all. It doesn't affect how much they clean up. I like to use old t-shirts because they're cheaper than patches you buy at the store. Although I buy those, I usually try to save those just specifically for cleaning out my barrel and so on. So take the dry patch, just go in there and scrub it around a little bit. Again, like I said, this is kind of a noob procedure. This is kind of a procedure for beginners, for newbies. It's not a big deal, guys. I was kind of hesitant about the first time I took apart my mag, and honestly, I had trouble reassembling it because I don't know if I was doing it wrong or what the deal was. So, all right, we got that part taken care of. Now what we're going to do is just go ahead and spray some rem oil. This is just more of your protectant coating. This is, it is a lubricant. Yes, it is a cleaner, but it also works as just a nice kind of general preservative. Okay, spray some inside the mag. Okay, you got your patch. It's damp. I wouldn't say it's soaked, but it's got enough covering, the majority of it. And what we'll go ahead and do is just thread this. I'm trying to work kind of quick here, guys. And so, yeah, I am kind of anxious to take these back out to the range and see how they perform with 2 new factory mags. And if I have more nosediving problems, I will call Sky again. Now, I've since rotated the CPX-2 out of my daily carry. I now have a car CT9 that I carry because it's a little bit thinner. Sky's kind of relegated to truck gun duty. It works. Okay, I have no problems with it. Some people are complaining about frame cracking issues, and that's something that I definitely am going to keep an eye on with my own pistol. Okay, just kind of talking about the CPX-2 in general. I got a whole series of videos on it if you guys ever want to check it out. Inside's nice and clean. Everything looks good. There's a nice uniform protective coating of oil inside there. So now she's ready to go back together. You can wipe off these base plates, but typically they're just made out of plastic. It's really not that big of a deal. You want to make sure that when you reassemble it, there's going to be a certain direction that everything's basically going to have to go. It's almost like Legos, okay? You got that flat end and the rounded end, just going to match up and go right on. The reassembly can be a little bit tricky because you're doing it with pressure on the parts. And go ahead and reassemble the magazine. Hopefully I get this right the first time. Okay, there we go. You can tell because you're going to have your plastic edge coming up to the top of the lip right here, and this is where you're going to load your rounds. Okay. And it's got some tension on it. I mean, you're not really going to be able to get the spring to stay. You're just going to have to kind of wedge it all together when you put it together. So just put the spring back in there. Keep some tension on the spring. Okay. Take your little cap. It's got two little pegs on the bottom here. Okay. Just kind of push it all back together. Just kind of slide it across. Now this part can be tricky. This part can be a bit of a pain in the rear. And again, I may stop the camera and just kind of fiddle with it so I can get it and then get it to the point that we can take back over again. On some guns, they're really easy because you can just slide this cap back in. Okay, that's kind of the situation here. Okay, see, there you go. It's gonna be a little awkward. Don't let go because it's gonna launch the butt plate and the spring right back at you. Just go ahead and take your cap here, kind of push down with a little bit of pressure, and push down with your finger. You have to push that plate below the butt plate, below this thumb rest right here, so they slide across. Okay, and then they don't always necessarily align properly. Sometimes you have to take your punch and kind of adjust them to get the peg to fall back in, and the peg just fell back into the hole, and it's basically good to go. So I've done this a few times, so you might have a little more trouble than me when you do it. It's not a big deal. Just practice it. The more you practice with these firearms, disassembling and cleaning them and stuff, it just becomes like second nature. Heck, the first time that I disassembled my AR and cleaned it, it was, I didn't know what I was doing. I was trying to watch the video. I had parts all over the place. And anyway, it's not that bad. Heck, just last night I disassembled an M1 Garand for the first time, and I thought that was going to be pretty daunting, and it really wasn't that bad. Kind of functionality check those. Now, if you want, feel free to load some rounds into it and flick them out, store it pretty much however you want to. But I think we're good to go. So this one's nice and clean. I'm going to go ahead and disassemble the next magazine off camera. And yeah, I think that's pretty much about it. So again, it's not a hard procedure. And this is, like I said, a video more or less for beginners. But, you know, keep your mags clean. Just keep your firearms clean, and they should be as reliable as possible for you. Otherwise, I think that's about it, guys. So I want to thank you for watching the channel. I might just be doing an unboxing of the Lead Sled Solo. I always forget the brand off the top of my head. I can't remember. Allen, maybe? No, I can't remember. No, it's not Allen. Okay, doesn't matter. I'll be doing an unboxing of the Lead Sled Solo so we can see what it looks like when it comes out of the box and make sure it's in good shape. If you don't know what a Lead Sled Solo is, it's a particular model of gun rest. It's a benching rest. You can take it to your firing range and put your rifles on it and zero in your rifles and shoot as accurately as you can. Takes all the weight and pressure off of you trying to hold the firearm, and it lets basically a device hold your firearm. So that'll be coming up, and we'll be taking the Garand to the range, and I'm going to pick up some different ammo for the Garand so that it's as accurate as it possibly can be. So there we go, guys. Okay, you got yourself a CPX-2 magazine that's just been disassembled, cleaned, and reassembled. Not a big deal. So guys, I want to thank you for watching. I'd like you to like and subscribe if at all possible. You can check me out over on Twitter. You can check me out on Instagram. I'm also over on gunchannels.com with the Ordinary Average Guy Gun Channel. Might just be changing the name. It was a suggestion from another buddy of mine on Gun Channels, suggesting my channel name, changing it to Travis P11. Yeah, so that's something that might be happening at some point here in the near future. But again, you can find it under the Ordinary Average Guy Gun Channel. Join Gun Channels if you haven't done so yet. It's free. If you want to get your own channel going, it's relatively inexpensive. And it's like $12 a year to host your own channel. It's really cool. I highly recommend you guys do that. So there you have it. All right. So guys, I want to thank you for watching today. Okay. As always, I want you to have fun. I want you to be safe. And as you know, we will talk to you soon. So take care, guys. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. All right. Bye-bye.